What's up, Group Coach Nation? I got Derek Gehl here with me today. Derek, so freaking glad to have you, buddy.
Yeah, stoked to be here.
Where are you from, by the way? Like, where's home?
I'm in Vancouver, British Columbia.
Oh my gosh, we're coming up there for the summer break, just for a little
Oh,
bit.
are you?
We'll talk about that offline. Oh my gosh, dude.
Yeah, sweet.
I think we're gonna be in Victoria quite a bit. Okay. Anyway, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, awesome. Love it.
Here's why I got Derek on the show today, guys. As you know, I say this all the time. We don't teach anything about the whole value ladder and attracting the right buyers and going up that sequence. At Group Coach Nation, we're 100% focused on teaching you how to build high-ticket masterminds, right? That top rung of the ladder, the penthouse in the building of offers. Derek is amazing at all the other stuff. I really suck at all the other stuff. Dang it, we just went to an explicit podcast. I said suck. So I really suck at all the other stuff. There's probably better words for that. So Derek agreed to show up here because Derek's doing really cool stuff. He runs multiple businesses like a lot of us do. He's ADHD like all of us are. He's spending $20K a day on his own media buying. Like, he's legit. He's doing the real thing. So I respect him in this space as a person who can like actually talk to us for real. And Derek's got a super cool podcast, Project Ignite, that you got to go check out. ProjectIgnite.com, right, Derek?
That's right, yeah.
A little more of his world. Yeah. So Derek, like, number one, thanks for hanging out and spending some of your time with us.
Sure.
Not charging me too much for that. And thanks for just answering questions. So as always, folks, Q&A here. Hit it all you want to for live. If we're post live, when you want to ask questions, ask them. We'll tag Derek and we'll get questions back and answers back to you. So Derek, like, help us with this attracting premium buyers concept. A lot of us struggle with thinking, like, number one, if I go like the free plus shipping book offer, or I'm just picking something out, or a free 10-point download on a website or whatever, you got to run a ton of people through that to find the few, golden nuggets there that can actually afford your 20K mastermind or 100K one-on-one consulting offer or whatever. Yeah. Like, how do you skip all that noise and value ladder attract the right buyers?
Sure. Yeah. Look, I have never, ever wanted to be the bargain in any market that I play in. And I think that's the first rule, right? Is if you want to have those high ticket masterminds down the road, you need to mentally prepare yourself to be premium, right? You are on the high value side of your market, and everything you need to do has to present that way. And we'll go back to some of those leads and stuff that you were talking about, because it's not that you can't do free book and stuff like that. You absolutely can, right? But I think, if I look at what you do, and I've been doing masterminds before masterminds were called, I guess they were called masterminds, but, on a lot of my initial education back, aging myself here in the early 2000s, I've been online since 97, came from, masterminds. The first mastermind I was really part of was, Dan Kennedy's Platinum Group back in
way.
Yeah. Way back. I think we were me and my partner Corey Riddle and Yannick Silver were the only internet guys in that group, and Dan kept telling us the internet was a fad. So,
and what did Russell Brunson just bought it all, right? Like all
and now Russell Brunson owns the whole damn thing, right?
Stuff, yeah.
and he's giving
that's online. Let's do that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and I've had my own masterminds. I don't have one currently at this point, but I have premium online coaching, training programs, stuff like that. And I don't sell a training right now for under $1,000.
Okay. Cool.
And the reason why, and what I've learned over.
So you don't have like a 147 3-part video series?
No, I've got nothing like that. Now that being said, you have to be able to cast the net, right? You have to be able to get out there and get leads, obviously, right? Mm-hmm. That's important. But, it's funny because a lot of people say, well, Derek, you can't take somebody from, almost zero to $1,000 price point or above straight out of the gate. And, You absolutely can. Now,
Mhm.
prior to the pandemic, I'm an internet guy, but one of the best ways to take people from zero to spending thousands of dollars right out of the gate with you is live events. Um, you can't top a live event. You can fill that live event online, right?
Yeah.
Like with online, and drive them to a venue.
And you mean a physical space live event,
Like
not a
an
virtual.
actual
Okay.
physical
Yeah.
space.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the reason why is you can never recreate, and I mean, look, the last 2 years, we've been heavily focused on trying to recreate the live event online,
Mhm.
right? But when you learn how to sell from a stage, it's a whole different paradigm, and you can bring people who barely know you to spending at least a few $1,000s, if not more, right out of the gate. And you don't have to do it in a dirty, sleazy way
Sure.
either, right?
Yeah.
Um, look, the pre-pandemic, we focused. I did a lot of live events, and I would do tours. I'd been really heavily focused on Asia and stuff like that. And the reason a live event, and again, I know we're kind of talking internet stuff here, but a live event has so much power, especially for your coaches, consultants, stuff like that, is it creates an environment where people, even if the event is free
Hmm.
for them to attend, there's a commitment that's been made, right? For somebody to schedule time to show up, to sit in a room. And the other beauty of an actual live event when you're all in the room, which we just can't recreate on a webinar, is that uh, forcing people to pay attention, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's social pressure when people are sitting in a seminar and you're talking to them live. They can't pick up their phone, they can't wander away. You have this undivided attention. And further to that, you've got a lot of extra tools at your disposal that you can't really play with on a webinar, whether that be, walking out into the audience, connecting with people physically, like
Hmm.
really connecting with people at a different level. And so, historically, and I have done this now for many, many years. In fact, I had one of the first actual internet marketing like seminar tours in the US back in the 2000s. And I did it all over the place, all over the world. Then when I sold that company, I've been focused Australia, Asia, because it's so big over there as well. And it's funny because people told me, well, geez, Derek, don't go to the Philippines because you'll never sell like, $2,000 plus product in the Philippines. And I was like, well, we'll see, right? There's a lot of people there. And if you can get people in a room, guess what? I was consistently closing 10 to 20% of the room there on a $2,000 plus product, right?
Hmm.
And the beauty of that market is the leads were just so cheap to get in as well.
Hmm.
So it's how okay, so taking a step back, you've got to have some kind of to get leads, right?
Yeah.
And books are awesome.
Some kind
And
of
the
hook
re-
that's low
some
cost.
kind of hook, and books free plus shipping, love that.
Mhm.
And the reason why is because if somebody actually, first of all, they pay shipping, there's some commitment, and a book is your ultimate business card, right?
Yeah.
It's the ultimate credibility builder. Even if people don't read your book, and I hate to tell you this, if you send your book to 100 people, like a tiny fraction of them will ever read it, but the fact that they're holding that book with your name on it creates immense credibility, right?
Mhm.
Like you are an author. So you've already elevated yourself to a premium versus, the little, lead magnets and stuff like that, like little checklists. And I'm not saying those checklists can't work, but free plus the book stuff works amazing, right? And
Mhm.
I mean, perfect example of that. I know you're part of Russell's mastermind, and he's been my
Oh,
God, he's almost built ClickFunnels off of,
yeah.
free.
Yeah. That thing's rocket. Yeah.
Yeah, with free book shipping, right? And he has a ton of premium people in there.
Mhm.
And so the trick though is it really is, first of all, mindset. You're the premium. And then when you bring people in to your next stage, one of the things that I've taken a different approach on over the past decade is when I do, let's say, a webinar and I'm bringing people up to my $2,000, It's not about flashy cars and all the stuff we see on YouTube and the get rich quick stuff. What I find with premium people is they're a little bit more serious and they're a little bit wiser. And the approach I take is actually brutal honesty, right? So I'm teaching people how to build businesses online. Okay. So in one of my businesses, that's my passion, love working with entrepreneurs. You know, I make way more money in the retail commerce, affiliate supplements, but I've had a passion for working with entrepreneurs. So when I bring people in who are just getting started, I'm really honest with them. And I say, look, you know, being an entrepreneur is hard. It's an emotional roller coaster. And I work, first of all, through all my presentations, and I don't care what you're trying to get people to sign up for. You got to connect with them emotionally and really play with sort of the mindset side of things, and set people up for success mentally and set your expectations. And all of a sudden, you're going to get the smart people going, wow, this actually makes sense. And I want to be part of this, as opposed to the people that are throwing out the, you know, get rich quick nonsense and stuff. And then what happens? Look, you're going to polarize. There's the people that are going to be like, well, I wanted to get rich quick, right? I wanted to, and they'll go away. And that's good. Because you know what? They're never going to buy your mastermind. Exactly. Exactly. And so it's a bit of a long-term play in the sense of, if you are focused on premium people, you're going to cast this net and you're going to sift out a whole bunch of the tire kickers, the people that are going to waste your time. And here's the thing, those people might buy a $50 or $100 product, but they're never going to necessarily ascend to those higher levels.
I want to like decode what you just said, because I know some people in our audience just heard what you said, and I want to make sure everybody just heard what you said. By the way, everybody watching in, it's awesome to see you guys. Feel free to ask questions as we go along. The thing like that you're pointing out, Derek, is so critical. That high-end buyer is recognizing you as an expert. Like, I want to drop, like, I have expletives like flying around my head. I'm really trying to keep this a family-friendly show. Quit effing trying to be somebody you're not, folks. Be yourself, because who you are, your expertise, your current state of who you are and your expertise is valuable to a percentage of the buyers that are watching you. And that percentage of buyers will never buy from you if they think you're fake for a second. And if you're trying to be Chris Williams, if you're trying to be Derek Gehl, if you're trying to be Russell Brunson, if you're trying to be your favorite superstar out there, Amy Porterfield, like, I'm so enamored with what she does. I can't be her, right? I wish I could, but her whole vibe is different than me. And yet I think what she has is so cool, but I got to be me. And everything Derek's just kind of walking us through is like step by step. If you keep listening to what he's saying, there's like experience, connection, experience, connection, experience, connection, experience, connection. And that happens in an authentic space. If you can't get to a virtual event or a real event, or you can only go live on your LinkedIn profile or whatever, awesome. Do what you can do it well, and be you, and allow people to lean into that sincerity. Because I'm going to just say this one last thing, Derek. I think this is relevant, and I want to shut up and let you talk. Jill, my wife's name is Jill, Derek. I don't own a car, folks. You're never going to see me in front of a Ferrari. I was actually in front of a Ferrari on one of our mastermind calls last week, because I had to Google an image of a Ferrari in a garage just so drop my virtual background. I have an electric bike and an electric skateboard, and I like to commute. I'm pretty much of a tree hugger. Jill just downgraded. We've had 3 Suburbans. We got 5 kids. Jill's just downgrading from a Suburban because she feels lonely in that big vehicle. We've been looking at electric vehicles, and we know everything about the Nissan Leaf, which is like the cheapest electric vehicle you can get right now.
Sure. Yeah.
And we know everything about the Tesla Model X. Okay. Here's the cool thing, though. This is fascinating. I hardly know anything about the Tesla, because Tesla is not pitching low-cost details trying to be something they're not. They are Tesla.
Yeah.
The freaking leaf is like on their website. It's got every little detail you can imagine. They're trying so hard to sell you a leaf because they're nobody.
Yeah.
And we're that way, and our market's experienced that way. The Tesla buyer, I think Jill's gonna end up with a Subaru after all the electric car shopping we've done. She walked into a Subaru dealership last night and she was like, I like this. It gets delivered
They're good
tomorrow
cars.
to the shop. I think, yeah, well, fine, whatever. Like the buyer you want, folks, the buyer Derek's talking about, the buyer you want is not the buyer who's gonna pick every little thing apart about your product or service. That's a bad client. The buyer you want is the one who's like, I hear you. You got me. I trust you. Let's go.
And you know, and that's so important. I mean, one of the words you said there, and I always preach this, is authenticity, right? And people want to do business, as they say, with people they know, like, and trust. And, you know, authenticity creates that. And you, especially if your audience is coaches and consultants and stuff, at the end of the day, all the stuff you teach, those are features, you know, those have to be there to satisfy the logical brain in the sales process, right? But at the end of the day, we know that buying decisions are emotional. And when people are buying a coach or a consultant, they're buying you. And when they're buying you, they have to like you, they have to trust you. And that's where you see, you know, I mean, we all see it, right? The crap on YouTube, the Ferraris, all that stuff like that. And look, that appeals to a really certain demographic.
It does. Yeah.
Totally. But if we're talking about high ticket masterminds, if we're talking about the premium end of the market, that's not typically where that exists whatsoever.
No. Anybody who knows anything in the info space, who's like Derek, if you and I are attracting high-end folks, and that's the way it works. And for everybody watching and listening in, if you're wanting to attract those premium buyers, which is why you're in Group Coach Nation, we're here to build high ticket masterminds. Come on, let's just call it what it is. That's the client you want. Those clients have already purchased all the low end stuff and already realized I didn't get what I wanted. Yeah. Not because the product's necessarily crappy, but they're done with that. They're ready for, like, I want to be closer to the expert. And I want that space where I can be like, I get the information. I've got the information for the past decade, but I don't know how to make it mine. And you got to pay extra for that. And that's a different buyer. That's a more mature buyer.
And, you know, look, to add to that too, you still need to know how to sell. Right?
Yeah.
You still need to know, particularly when you're dealing with high ticket stuff, right? You still need to know how to structure that pitch, that close, but doing it in an authentic way. And more so than low ticket, you have to connect with people at an emotional level. Because if you don't, you're never going to get them over that line. I mean, sure, there's some, but if you really want to get people over that line, when I'm doing a close, whether it's on a webinar or from stage for, you know, a multi-$1,000 product, you know, when you're selling, you've got to satisfy the logical brain, right? You've got to have the features. You're going to get the value stacks and stuff like that. And that's where I'm going to say, you know, a lot of the rookies play, and that's all they focus on. And they get so far with it. But the true masters of the craft of high ticket stuff are people that have learned how to push the emotional buttons in that specific niche, to utilize those selling strategies. And it's interesting. I mean, I talk about live events, but the stuff I do on live events, I do on webinars as well, right? It's the same sales process. It's the same connection. It's the same emotional connections and stuff like that. And again, something that I've learned, particularly over the last couple of years, is historically where I could put somebody in a room for, let's call it 4 hours, not, you know, if I could put 100 people in a room for 4 hours and know with a high degree of certainty, I could close 20 to 25% of that room at, you know, $2,000, $3,000, to $10,000 without, you know, question. Online, when you don't have that personal connection,
Mhm.
it takes a little longer, but you still have to find ways to create those personal connections. And that's why now you're starting to see, you are seeing all of the multi-day, the challenges,
Yeah.
the connections. And so, when you're going for that high ticket stuff, having a 3-day, a 5-day, a 7, and I've done 7-day challenges where every single day, or a 7-day, it's effectively a 7-day course or webinar where you put people in, and you now have daily the ability to teach, but more importantly, connect with them on an emotional level and let them get to know you as a human, as a person. And, be authentic, but you also want them to want to be in the position you're in as
Yeah.
well. And
Yeah.
that's important.
Yeah.
But you can do that authentically. I mean,
Yeah.
if you can't do it authentically, then maybe you need to rethink your niche, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's the whole fake it till you make it mentality, which I personally don't believe in. I think there's too many people out there teaching crap that they've never done.
Right.
And so I don't think you can be authentic that way. And if you're gonna go in there and say, I want to teach people how to do this, and you've never done it, well, you're never going to be able to be authentic, and you're never going to be able to deliver, right? So assuming that you've done it, you just need to be that aspirational person, but be yourself at the same time.
Man, that's so refreshing to hear. So many, imposter syndrome. We all talk about that way too much.
Dude,
It's so
20
real.
years later, I still feel like an imposter.
I freaking wake up with that every day. Like, come on,
Mhm.
man. When I said a minute ago, I don't have a car. Every time I mention that to an audience, if it's mine or somebody else's, I always feel insecure about that. Always.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it says, like, I feel like somebody is out there going to question. I'm just being vulnerable here, folks. Like, flip this story around, pick your own vulnerability out. I feel like somebody's going to question, well, if he doesn't, is it because he can't afford one? Like, it took me, like, I remember my therapist eventually telling me, this is 15 years ago, I wanted an old Chevy pickup truck. And I was like, I was in financial planning back then, wealth management stuff. It's like, if I do that, my clients, I'm going to sell my Lexus SUV and what are they going to think? Am I a failure? He was like, dude, who cares? Like, be alive. They'll be attracted to your aliveness, not your car.
Yep.
And that was the best advice I ever got. And be you.
And at the end of the day, what's more impactful to people is your results, right? Like proof.
Yeah.
Proof.
Can you do it?
Proof.
Yeah.
And if you can show proof that you can do it and you can connect with them, it doesn't matter what car you drive. You don't have to put on that facade of, my fancy car is, again, it's not that the fancy cars and the pictures in front of the rented jets don't attract an audience. They attract a crappy audience, an audience that is high. And look, I've been in the biz op space for a very long time, right? So, I mean, business opportunity is kind of a dirty word because it's been so abused for a long time. But I'm coming at from the perspective of I've tried from like full on like direct mail stuff. I mean, back in the day, my partner Corey and I, we actually hired Dan Kennedy to write a direct mail piece for us for a very biz op-y thing. And we started buying lists and stuff. And all I can tell you, it was a low price, entry level. Sure, we got lots of leads, but man, they were high maintenance, low ticket. They sucked the life out of us. And I think, I sold that company, the Internet Marketing Center, back in 2008, and we had lots of low ticket products and high ticket. Had a huge coaching program, had Mastermind, stuff like that. When I got back into this, I made a commitment to myself, and that commitment is I'm not doing low ticket stuff anymore. I'm not doing anything that's biz-oppy in the, get rich type stuff, because it doesn't attract good people. And those people suck the life out of you, and they don't ascend. They don't go through the ascension model, and they don't become those premium buyers. And so now I skip that. And, I mean, the beauty of what we have now in terms of targeting, in terms of lead gen, you can really hone down your targeting in your
Mhm.
ads in any niche to find the right people. And you can pre-qualify people, right?
Mm.
Like with all of my events, I'm like, this isn't get rich quick. This is how to be a real entrepreneur, right? Like I'm tough love straight up front. If you're looking for get rich quick, please go away,
Yeah,
right? But if you're willing to work and put in the time and you're going to commit for the next, 6 months to a year to work every week on this, I can get you there. And
yeah,
the right people go, yeah, that makes sense.
yep, exactly. I freaking love that. All right, Derek, we got a couple more minutes left. I got like one or two more questions for you because I like want to get some. I want to learn, man.
Right.
Okay, so you're dropping 20K a day on traffic right now,
Mhm.
times 30 days in a month. That's 600K a month times 12. Folks, I'm really good at math. That's $7.2 million a year right now on
Yep.
just paying the machine,
In the machine. Yeah.
dropping coins. So you're obviously not doing that just for kicks. Nobody drops 7.2 a year
No.
just on
No.
a
No.
good guess. If you're designing like a mid to low tier product, an e-course, some kind of thing that actually doesn't take a lot of time from the guy who's a guy girl who's like the person who's got
Yep.
to lead the thing. Where's the pricing sweet spot on that? Is it like $1,000 or is it like 5,000 or is it a monthly subscription? Like where's it at?
Okay. So,
Does
I
it
mean,
depend?
pricing, I find you've got the sub $1,000, right?
Mhm.
Like, and if you're in that $500 range right now, you can go up to the almost $1,000 range with a zero impact on that, right? But I'll be honest, I don't sell a lot there. Almost everything I do is in the $1,500 plus range, right?
$1,500 one time or monthly, or how does that work? Like one
Annual,
annual. Okay,
annual.
got it.
So,
Yeah.
so that's an annual and that's my entry level stuff,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
And then we have coaching on top of that,
Mhm,
and then our coaching range is anywhere from 5 to 10, right?
mhm.
But that is when you bring. Here's the beauty: when you bring people in at that $1,500 to $2,000, moving them up to a $8,000, $10,000
Mhm.
is so much easier than taking somebody from $100 to $8,000.
Yeah.
And you know that the majority of people you're talking to are qualified to get up there anyway, simply because they invested that. But let me talk about buying traffic right now, because there's something that's happening in the industry that I think a lot of people are missing out on. Now, a lot of that traffic I'm buying are for my supplement brands and
Yeah.
in the e-com space and stuff like that.
Right.
But it doesn't matter where you are now. A lot of people are going out, whether it be Facebook, Google ads, whatever. They'll go out, they'll spend, a couple $1,000s, and they'll be like, oh, that didn't work. Okay. And I'm at heart, I've been a direct response marketer since the 1990s, right? I learned direct response marketing, but we're now in a time where direct response marketing is really changing. And for I know for all of our listeners here, you're all direct response marketers, right? You're all driving people to lead captures and moving them down some kind of ascension model and funnel. But one of the things that I've discovered with media buying now is it's no longer enough to just have a single funnel, because the
Mhm.
way people shop online now has changed immensely. And if you're going to go out and buy media, I'm going to give you guys a bit of a stat here. So right now, when I'm buying media, about 25%, and this ranges anywhere from 20 to 30% of our buyers click a link, go through, and actually buy.
It's awesome.
And so if I looked purely at the direct attribution of my ads, I would think, oh my goodness, I am losing money hand over fist. And so we now live in a time where the majority of buyers will see ads, maybe they'll click, but they're going to back out, and they're going
Mhm,
to go out and they're going to look around and they're
mhm,
going to do research and they're going to say, who is this Chris Williams guy, right?
mhm.
What can I find about him online? And so for all the coaches and consultants and stuff out there, you need to go out and you need to really orchestrate what the first page of Google looks like, the first page of the SERP, and even the second page, so that when people hit your lead magnets, your funnels, anything like that from your media buys and back out right away and go, who is this guy? All they see on that first page of Google is your stuff, positive reviews, social proof, stuff like that. Because right now, the front page of Google is where a large percentage of people are making the decision whether they're going to make that next step. Mm-hmm. And if it makes sense, they're going to then come through and they're going to take those next steps. This is so we've actually kind of landed in a time of direct response and I don't want to call it branding, but you've got people that it is kind of a brand. You're building a brand when you're buying media, because people are going out and they're researching and they're looking around through all these different channels, whether it be go Google, you go search yourself on Reddit. What are people saying about you on Reddit, right? And it's so funny when I ask people this, people are like, I don't know. What are people saying about you, on all the platforms? If you search Google, what comes up on the first page? Is it all about you? Because if you are presenting yourself to be this expert and this person, and the first thing half the people on this planet do now is go to Google, type in your name and your specialty, and they don't find anything about you, guess what's going to happen? Your media buying is going to suffer, and you're not going to be profitable. So this is I think one of the biggest aha moments I've had through now spending, as you said, millions of dollars a year on media. Is it's no longer direct attribution. Tracking from our media buying is so difficult now that I have reports where I look at, when I'm talking about products, I'm looking at brand lift, meaning that, okay, if I spend $10,000 here on an ad, I'll look at my direct attribution, and over time, I'll know what it should be. It'll never be profitable directly, but then I look at the overall lift.
Yep.
Right. And so as your coaches and consultants and your listeners, as they're buying traffic now, don't just count, did they click and buy? Did they click and buy? You need to be looking at the big picture. And the other side of this is it takes time.
Yeah.
Media buying now takes time. I don't care if it's Facebook. I don't care if it's Google. I don't care where you are. It takes time. And you've got to be willing to invest for a period of, let's call it 30 days to, even to train the algorithms and the pixels and to train the systems to find the right buyers, it takes weeks and stuff.
Yeah.
And again, I'm watching people spend money on media and go out there and say, well, I only got 3 clicks. That doesn't tell you anything. Or I got 4 conversions. Doesn't tell you a damn thing. No. It's not statistically relevant, right? But the real message here for all you guys that are actually trying to buy leads, you've got to start looking at the entire brand lift. But before you do that, you need to go out there and orchestrate the SERP, the search engine results page, the first page of Google, to be effectively, a testimonial for you, like social proof for you. Yeah. And if you don't, your media buying is going to suffer.
Love hearing all that. Like, listen up, folks. Derek's shooting straight. It really is. That's just cut to the BS. You're not going to go out there and copy somebody's funnel and drop $2,000 from your credit card on an ad set over the weekend and prove it. It just doesn't. It doesn't
work. Yeah. Look, people look at, Russell's got so many great books on his funnels and stuff like that, right? He breaks them down and people copy them exactly and they start buying traffic. And they go, why didn't that work for me? Well, because when you Google Russell Brunson, guess what you find?
20 pages of Russell Brunson.
20 pages of glowing testimonials. And he's everywhere, right? The social proof that exists out there for him is tremendous. Now, you don't have to be Russell Brunson. You can orchestrate that through, your social profiles, through YouTube videos, through getting on podcasts like this. Because guess what? Like, I know with my Project Ignite podcast, when I interview somebody cool, what do? I create a page for it. I optimize it. And there's lots of people I interview. I rank for their names. So if you're on my podcast and somebody Googles you, they're like, oh, look, this guy did an interview here or there, right? So you got to do that stuff. And if you're not, you're wasting money on buying media.
And start doing it. If you're not, don't despair. Start.
Yeah.
Go on podmatch.com or something like that and start getting your name out there. Start getting all the backlinks. It's actually free and it takes some time, but in a couple of months, you can actually own some space in the Google neighborhood.
Absolutely.
And then you can have a guy like Derek give you some serious advice on where to actually pull traffic out of the sky from.
Yeah. And there's a lot of it out there.
There is. Derek, we can send people over to, let me just tell you this, folks. Project Ignite, honestly, is a good podcast. It's actually a good show. It's really good information. I like the way you interview over there. And I like the people you interview. You like get legit stuff going on. So thanks, man. Like,
yeah, absolutely. You know what? It's funny. I've had so many people like, how are you going to monetize your podcast? And I was like, I don't think I am. Because honestly, why I did this, and people learn from me, my students learn from me. I just love my passion. I think, the change I want to leave in this world, my legacy is helping take regular, average, ordinary people and turn them into entrepreneurs, right? And I love doing that. And the podcast for me is just a really fun way to have great conversations and connect with cool people once a week, right? Like, I mean, that's how you and I connected. And it's awesome.
Yeah. And dude, it's freaking legit. I'm looking at your list of people you've had on there recently right now. And like, oh my gosh, these are really good conversations with really interesting people who've actually done something. Like,
yeah,
lean in on Derek, guys. So if you're listening in, it's Project Ignite, projectignite.com, projectignite.com. And honestly, like if you're trying to figure out how to like get this whole value ladder thing figured out, lean in and ask Derek questions. He's your guy for that. Yours truly is not. I only teach about building high ticket masterminds. I so don't know about the whole value ladder thing. Like that's not my game. And I ask questions to people like Derek who actually know what in the world they're doing. So Derek, thanks.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for investing. Like I truly appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime.
Thanks for experimenting with $20,000 a day. So we don't have to.
Well, look, once you figure it out, it's no longer an experiment, but you got to be willing to put the time and the money in to get it there.
Yeah. That's the key, right?
Yeah.
Not a weekend flash. It's like, it's a relationship. It's a relationship with the algorithms and it's just like a personal relationship. You can't, you don't meet somebody in one day and end up retiring and having the best life ever with that person.
Yeah.
It just takes time. Yeah. Derek, great, like, thank you so much for real.
For sure.
Projectignite.com. I'll link Derek up here in this post as well. We'll get all the links to you. You guys are awesome. As always, do the work, get results. Just freaking do the right work. Don't do the wrong work. Ask your experts, ask people you trust, and lean in on them and do the right work so you can get some results. All right. See you, kids. Bye, guys. Thank Derek.